So before I talk, guys, I have this tradition that wherever I speak, and I speak in lots of places around the world, I ask before I start to speak that everyone wave, and I take a picture, and then I show it to my daughter, Mia. The thing is, Mia's actually here with me today, but we're still going to do that. So interrupting your meal for 5 minutes. If everyone can wave and say hello and wake up that way, and Mia, look around. This is for you. Here we go. Smile, guys. All right. So if I asked you guys to list a couple of nouns or adjectives that define you as a person, what would the first one be? For me, and this has been true for a really, really long time, for me, the word is an immigrant. When I was 13 years old, my parents and I escaped from what was then Soviet Union and is now Russia. And we gave up everything. We left with 6 suitcases and a couple $100 to our name. We went to refugee settlements in Europe for a couple months where we applied to get to the US as refugees and eventually landed in the projects right outside of Detroit. This photo is the only photo I have from that time. It's actually us outside the train that took us from Vienna, Austria, our first stop, to Italy. And no criticizing the outfit, please. I know the pants are pleated and not orange, but this is, I think, the only outfit I have to my name at the time. When we landed in the projects in Detroit, it was probably, I don't remember the exact day, but it was the beginning of one of the most difficult experiences I'd ever been through. We didn't speak English, we had no money, we lived on welfare and food stamps, and I remember one of the most shocking things was realizing that my parents, who had been this huge guiding light, could no longer lead me, right? They were kids just like I was. We didn't know, I had to go with my dad to the bank to help him understand how checks worked. So I had a couple years of a real struggle of figuring out my way, of learning English, of figuring out how to get out of there. And when we did eventually, I decided at a very mature age of 16 that I was going to make up for this horrific experience that my parents and I went through. And I was going to do it by chasing the American dream. And to me, the American dream was to be happy, like really happy. And I thought I had a very clear plan of how to get there. I was going to be very successful, I was going to achieve a lot of things, and I was going to make a lot of money. And if I did those 3 things, I would be happy. So I went on this path of achievement, overworking, trying very hard. I did lots of things. I went to Wesleyan University, graduated top of my class. I became a consultant with McKinsey in New York. I left a couple years later because I felt like I needed to get my hands more into creating something. I worked with a couple of startups, and then at the ripe age of 24, became a venture capitalist with a firm in New York. There's very few women venture capitalists. I was a managing partner at a very young age. That's a whole different speech. We'll talk about that next time. I spent 5 years in venture. Before I actually move on, I want to give a shout out. My first investment as a VC was in a company, in a little company on Route 128 called Constant Contact. Gail's not here, but she's always with me. I was on that board for 5 years, became an amazing success, learned so much. While being a VC, because I wasn't achieving fast enough, I needed to move faster, right? I had this dream goal. I started a publishing company with my husband out of our illegal sublet in New York, where we decided to publish a series of books for students. We did many of them. So we did this before our jobs and late at night. Eventually sold the company to Penguin, a big publisher. I decided I wanted to understand how to use technology to help people experience things that help them move up what I call them kind of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So we moved to Boston and I joined Microsoft here, so got that interesting corporate experience. And then as Kathy mentioned, I left with a couple steps in between and took over the consumer division at Ware, which we then sold to PayPal a couple years later. In the process, I made sure to buy my parents a very nice expensive car. It's actually not the exact car, but close, because I was going to be happy, right, if I could just make a lot of money and then make my parents happier that way. I married a wonderful guy, had an amazing little kiddo, made sure she had the most fancy, expensive strollers possible, right? This was all part of the formula to make me happy. I did this for 15 years, and I learned a ton. And I was really grateful to go through this experience, but there was one thing I wasn't at the end. and you guys probably can guess it, I wasn't happy. I was actually absolutely miserable, exhausted, overworked. And my father is a scientist, so I said, let me check out the science. Let me look if there's actually science on what makes us happier. And what I learned, I have no other way to say it, but I kind of blew my mind. I had what I call my holy crap moment, because the first thing that I learned from reading the science is that I'd always thought of being happy as something that comes after. So I do the right things in life, I achieve enough, I marry the right person, I do the right stuff, and then I'm happy as a bonus. And if you look at the science, it actually works the other way. People who are more positive are more productive, they're healthier. Do you know that if you have a slightly more positive outlook, you're 50% less likely to catch a cold or have a heart attack? That people who are more positive are more creative, kids who are happier learn better in school, employees are more productive, and on and on and on. And this really shifted the way I started to think of being happy, not as some goal to get to, but as something that I had to prioritize today. The second thing that I discovered in the science was equally as fascinating, and that was that there's really, really simple, tiny things that have been scientifically proven to actually shift our mindset. The first one is that if we just pause for a moment and capture in some way, writing it down, saying it, taking a photo of it, a couple tiny positive things about our day. 11,000 different studies have shown that it actually increases our positive outlook, reduces stress and anxiety. My first reaction to this, to be honest with you guys, was this is a bunch of BS, right? There's no way. I mean, I just went for 15 years of this working hard and I had all this success and that didn't make me happy, and writing down a couple positive things every day was. But the science is pretty significant. There's other simple things, right? Like saying thank you, right? I mean, it's good manners. Right on the way here, I was actually telling me in the car that when you meet people, you should say nice to meet you. And if they say something nice, you should say thank you. But it's bigger than that, right? Because being thankful is more of a way of expressing gratitude. Things like going outside, right? So as I was reading this research, I started going for a morning walk. Every morning I go for a 3-mile walk, no matter what. Rain, sun, crazy freezing winter we just had. Seems simple, but studies show it actually shifts your mindset. Experiencing new things. There's a tremendous amount of study in sociology, actually, that shows people who have a variety of experiences in their life are much happier than people who do the same thing. So I was reading all these really simple things. I rejected it all to start, but I needed to change something, and so I tried to make this part of my life. And did it make me like an eternal happy optimist overnight? Not at all. I describe myself as a tortured Russian Jewish immigrant. When I wake up every morning, my general state is, rah! That's it, right? But what it did, and is it the goal to kind of wear those rosy-eyed sunglasses? Not at all, right? After all, I come from a country where this is people smiling. But what it did do was help me shift my perspective. It helped me realize that, yes, there are those days that just go really, really badly and you want to hide under the covers, and yet there's still something tiny that I can find to focus on. And the impact on my life was incredible. I mean, it really changed my life, and I became inspired to start Happier. Our mission is very simple and completely crazy. We want to help millions of people be happier in their everyday life. And we call ourselves a life appreciation platform because fundamentally, if I could inspire everyone to go through the process I went through, I would summarize it like this. Stop saying I'll be happy when I get that job, I marry that person, I sell my company, and start saying I'm happier now because. Because, again, if you look at the science, there's a tiny moment that if you pause to appreciate it can really shift your mindset. So that's what we launched with Happier. We launched about a year ago, and it's a big, big vision, right? What do we start with? We started with something very simple. We started with a mobile app available for the iPhone, yes, Android folks, it's coming, a couple months. And we said, let's create a positive community where you can collect and share these small, tiny, happy moments that you find and appreciate in your daily life. And I wanted to give you guys just a sense of what these moments are. I mean, you should all be on Happier after this, but let's share some of the moments of what they are. We think of them as something very simple, very small, right? So reading a great book for a few minutes before everyone gets up for the day, right? Maybe before Happier, this wasn't even something you thought about as a happy moment. It was just kind of part of your routine. But the idea is that it helps you elevate it out of the routine, and what you realize is, hey, my day actually had some of this positive stuff. It could be something as simple as drinking coffee from a mug your kids made for you. I have a special one that Mia made, this tiny orange cup, that when I'm having the worst day, that's where I have coffee from. It could be surprising someone by doing something nice, giving something away. There's a lot of research that shows kindness and being generous makes us happier. Seeing the sunrise, getting up early enough to see a sunrise. This one is one of my recent happy moments. Crazy day, but I paused to play some Mastermind with kiddo. Somehow she always wins. The idea that these happy moments, they're these tiny, tiny ones. They're not the status, I call them, the brag updates on Facebook. This isn't a place where you curate this amazing version of you. They're really simple, and they're part of your everyday, and you don't have to change yourself, right? On Happier, we talk about the fact that we're not a life improvement platform. We think your life is, you are good the way you are. It's a life appreciation platform to help you find these kind of moments in your day. We launched Happier a year ago. We've had more than 2.5 million happy moments shared, more than 6 million smiles, our friendlier version of a like given. And there was something that our users kept asking us to do, and that was to teach them other ways to find a more positive perspective. And so this is actually, I think, the first event where I share this publicly. We launched Happier courses softly in beta a couple months ago. And the idea is to create these very bite-sized, accessible, always with you, interactive courses with us and our experts to help you improve, help you learn how to find happy moments in different areas of your life. The first one is called Everyday Grateful. It was taught by yours truly. And it was 21 days for how to establish a gratitude habit. We just launched our meditation vacation, which is a fresh take on meditation where you don't have to sit in a room for an hour, because who has time to do that? We have yoga coming up, and the overall theme for our courses, again, supporting our mission, is how do we teach you different ways to find happy moments in your life? So, I've been talking to you guys about Happier in my career, and doing what I'm doing now, it's the most exhilarating thing I've ever done in my life. And at the same time, it is absolutely the hardest. Every single day is a battle, every single day. And probably my hardest battle is with myself. At the same time that I am so convinced that this is a really, really important thing that can change people's lives, and I think we have the next billion-dollar media lifestyle brand on our hands, at the same time, I question myself all the time. I call it my 4 a.m. wake up almost every night. My husband has to be there to witness it. And it goes something like this. What am I doing? This is crazy, crazy. I can never raise money. Who wants to be happier? What a stupid idea. Who came up with this idea? All these people are working for me. What is this happiness company? It's some version of that, right? Entrepreneurs in the room, I think, can relate to this. This is really, really hard to do. And if anyone tells you startups aren't hard, I talk about our media having a little bit of a entrepreneurship porn moment, where entrepreneurship is this very shiny, beautiful, exciting thing. It is, but it's also really, really hard. And at the same time, what's been interesting to me is doing this really, really difficult thing has actually taught me some things I never expected and changed me in ways I never realized. And so I wanted to share some of that with you guys. The first way is that it's changed me as a parent. I used to obsess about separating work and family. Really, really obsess about it. I would go crazy if I had to answer an email from home. I would feel so guilty about it. I would never talk to my daughter about my work, even the good or the bad. I would have this routine. I'd get to the house, and I'd sit in my car for 30 seconds and kind of put on my happy face, right? Nothing wrong ever happened. And with Happier, Happier isn't just my job. It is my life, right? I wear orange every day, for example. It's our brand color, right? It blends into every aspect of my life. And also, it's just too much, right? So somewhere along the way, I stopped separating it so much, and I just let it all blend. And what I discovered was something amazing. I became much more honest as a parent, and I would talk to Mia about the bad days, the bad meetings, the VCs telling me they don't think happiness is a problem. It's fun to talk to male VCs about this. They want to know how big the market is. I would tell her about the good days, the exciting days. I would bring her to events like this. And one of the things that I realized is it really helped me chill out a little more, right? Am I never experiencing that working mom guilt? That's not true. I have it all the time. How many working parents are in the room? All right, so you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I still feel it, but what I found when I became more honest with my daughter and just more honest with myself about not being able to separate the two is I started to feel more in one place more often. And I started to experience more of those moments of, I call them superwomanness, where, well, yeah, Mia has early release today, but she's here, and I'm speaking to you guys, and I can do it both at the same time. I feel pretty good about that right now. So it's been an amazing change in my life. There's something else that I've picked up as I've been working on Happy Hour that's really changed me, and I never thought I'd say this, but I've really learned so much by sharing what I'm doing with Mia. And I wanted to play a short video, very short video for you guys. This is actually part of our gratitude course where we teach you, that week we teach you about establishing a gratitude ritual in your life. So short video that I think will play once I go like this. No? I'm really excited about this week because it's all about establishing your own gratitude ritual, which is just a time in your day to pause and think of something you appreciate. I'm excited to share mine with you. It involves my daughter, Mia. Every day I write her a little note for her lunchbox. I have a stash of little sticky notes. Sometimes they look like a cupcake. I put a little sticker on them and just think of something I appreciate about her or something I'm looking forward to doing together. It's a great time for me to pause for like 30 seconds, and it's a crazy, crazy morning routine that we go through. And it's something I know makes her happier, but to be honest with you, it's a favorite part of my day.
I like how she puts all the stickers on them. It just makes them kind of more festive. That's a lot of notes. There's more if I separate the little piles. My mom has been writing notes since I was in preschool, since I could first read. This is the last day of first grade. Have an amazing last day of first grade. I'm so proud of the way you have been learning this year, my chachi, my masik. I love you so, so much, Mama. Even though I see her all the time, I miss her like during the day because, you know, she's my mom and just feels like she's kind of there when I read them. I don't know when I'll want her to stop. Probably middle school is what I'm thinking, but not yet.
Thanks so much for letting me share my favorite gratitude ritual with you. Your mission this week is to find and establish your own and practice it every single day.
Happier, getting happier. Now that I've found you.
Thanks, Mia, for letting me embarrass you like that. There's something else that's come into my life that I wanted to share with you that has really changed and made me more able to deal with the crazy pace of a startup. I never thought I'd say this 3 years ago, but it's yoga. I picked it up a few years ago, and I'm still a very casual yoga. I take like 2 classes a week. I can't do any of the fancy schmancy stand on my pinky thing yet. But what I found is yoga is the one place in my day where I am exactly there. I'm on my mat, and I'm focused on mostly not falling or how much it hurts, but I'm focused on being right there. The other thing about yoga that's awesome for any CEOs in the room is someone tells you what to do, which is really a luxury, right? There's kind of have been doing mostly just for relaxing physically, and then a friend of mine took me to Kripalu a couple weeks ago, the yoga retreat center in the Berkshires, and I became really interested in the philosophy of yoga. And I started reading about it and talking to folks about it, and I learned about a concept that I thought was really relevant that I'd love to share with you. It might sound like a really weird concept coming from a CEO of a happiness company because it's about suffering. There's this part of the yoga philosophy that defines suffering as fighting reality. I'll be in a yoga class and we'll be in some crazy pose and the teacher will say, I know this hurts, but can you stay in it and be okay anyway? And can you even smile? And I actually think it's a huge part of what we are trying to inspire people to do through Happier. our days are filled with all kinds of moments, and there's some really hard ones, there's some really painful ones, there's some great ones and fun ones, and there's everything in between. And through Happier, what we want to say is, can you find a way to be okay? Can you shift your perspective and find something positive even when things are difficult? Because it's easy on the good days, but can you do it even when things are difficult? And this is one of my new favorite quotes: the post begins when you want to leave it. I think it's actually very relevant to what we're doing. One of the other things that I consider myself very lucky for is the daily fuel that I'm able to get from our amazing users at Happier. We get emails every week, hundreds of them, from folks telling us what impact Happier has had on their life. And I wanted to share just one with you, because if you recall, when I started looking at all the science, my first reaction was that there's no way this can work. It just seems so trivial, right? Here's an email we got recently. A while ago, I was in a car crash and came face to face with death. Sharing my small happy moments of my recovery on Happier has helped me see how things have been getting better. This app helped me fight off depression, and I will continue to use it as an everyday pick-me-up. Thank you for the work you do. Sharing a couple tiny positive things every day and getting yourself to recognize and be grateful for them can actually have a tremendous impact on your life, like this. My biggest realization in my journey has been that I was actually wrong back then. So May 21st is going to be 25 years since we left Russia. And what I realized is the dream that I had, my version of the American dream that I had when we got here, was wrong. My actual American dream is to inspire people to find ways in their every single moment, however difficult the moment may be, to shift their perspective and to be more positive, to find ways to be more positive amidst even the difficult stuff. I said at the beginning that we started Happier with one mission, and the mission being we want to help you to stop saying, I'll be happy when, and kind of focus on the goal of it, and to start saying, I'm happier now because. And for me, I'm happier now because I get to be here and share with you guys this story and remind you of this. Life is made of moments, and you can choose to create and collect the happy ones. Thank you.